Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the honor and privilege of having Hamid Kohan, who is the owner and founder of LegalSoft, which does a lot of different things, and I'm going to let Hamid talk about it. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to speak with you and about LegalSoft and what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be one of our the first day you're going to be speaking at the summit, which is the May 16th to the 18th down in New Orleans at the Ritz-Carlton. And just what are you going to be talking about?
Well, the topic is kind of intriguing. It's about how to scale your stupid law firm. And the word stupid doesn't mean to the owners. It means that a lot of stupid things happens in the law firm that I'm trying to prevent. So that was the topic of the book I wrote last year. This is how to scale your stupid law firm. And we'd be happy to provide that at the conference, at your conference, be giving everybody a copy of the book also.
Good. I look forward to that. Look forward to having you. So tell me, give us your story. How did you end up owning LegalSoft and being all involved in everything that's going on with legal?
Sure. Very quick background about me. I'm originally a high-tech guy from Silicon Valley. I became an engineer when I was 17 years old, and I was in the Silicon Valley about 20 years. And then I moved to Southern California and expanded a lot of different businesses in the software and automations and so forth. And then at some point, I started consulting and masterminding with the law practices, bringing the Silicon Valley type of environment and thinking into a law practice. It was kind of very revealing when I started working with some of the attorneys. And when you come from a very highly scalable, automated, completely different mindset of Silicon Valley, being trained in that for 20 years, and you come to a basic law practice, and they're like 20 years behind. I always
and always have been.
Always have been. And they're
always the last to implement any kind of change.
Exactly. And I always had this thing to say about if I left them alone, they're still carrying pagers and waiting at the fax machine to get a fax. So and then compared to what I came from was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I started consulting as a virtual COO for several law firms. And the word got around that I go in and I make these changes and I automate, I streamline, and I reduce costs, increase productivity. Again, all Silicon Valley training. And then the word got around and I started doing it for 5, 10, 15 different law practices. One thing I noticed is that I did make a big impact on these practices, but when I left and I reduced my time with the practice, a lot of stuff didn't get implemented and didn't get followed through, and it didn't get to where it's supposed to go. So I came back in and started sort of doing it for them and providing the services and the staff. So we went from like a 4-people organization right now to like 200 staff that we have working with 600 plus law firms. And we add 100 new law firms a month to the list that we work with. And I started not only providing the consulting and advising and masterminding, but actually doing it. So that's how we all got started, and the word got around, and then we're doing what we're doing right now.
Okay. So tell us, what does LegalSoft do?
It's essentially a one-stop shop for any law practices that enables the attorney to do the lawyering and not doing the business side, which is very complicated and complex right now. The business side is right now, as you know pretty well, because you've been doing this for even much longer than I have. The business of law is one thing, and the practice of law is completely something else. And no one attorney I have met that can actually master both of them. They're either a good businessman and terrible attorney, or a good attorney and terrible businessman. So that's with that realization, we started sort of compensating what they are lacking and they're not trained for. One of the first challenges was setting up the practice right, having a great online presence that is consistent and professional and affordable. That means social media, website, client retention, and so forth. Then the lead management system was a big thing. Every time I went to a law firm and said, how much your cost of client acquisition? They said, I don't know. I think it is 4,000 or I think it is 1,000. And then there was no fact behind it. So I started creating formulas and processes and procedures to actually identify to the penny how much is the cost of the case coming in any practice type. Doesn't matter, it doesn't be PI or employment or whatever. So we start developing technologies, processes, resources to actually manage all of that. The case management software, a lot of them were operating out of Excel sheets or Access or a bunch of different things that was not. So we intrigued them to actually go get the right case management software, right automation, right intake, the whole infrastructure. So that was one part. The second biggest challenge, which was COVID was a big hit for us, was a lack of qualified, affordable, willing staff wanting to work in the law practice. They became rare, they were expensive, they didn't want to come to the office anymore. There was so many different challenges. So we started attacking that problem. And that's where our virtual legal staffing came in. And we started with bilingual intake staff that are trained to do a specific type of practice type. See, one of the problems I found, and again, was consulting with the law firms, like in the PI, they're waiting for that one call to come in that is a 7-figure call that's going to save their practice. And they close shop and go home at 5 p.m. And that call comes like 10 p.m. at night, on a Saturday night. And then it goes to some call center, which is a random person answering for that 7-figure call. But that was totally wrong to me. I was like, I want my own trained intake staff with a sense of urgency and incentives to answer that call, retain it, get me on the phone, make sure I retain them, I'm moving forward. So our intake staff are bilingual, full-time, dedicated, trained by us and trained by the law firm to do a full-blown intake and retaining clients, not just answering calls. I hate the concept of call center. I want retained, not answered. That's a big change. Yeah. And then we moved on into medical record retrieval, document retrieval, case managers, paralegals, demand writers. So we do the full spectrum from intake all the way to senior paralegals that we place into the law firm as a virtual trained legal staff.
Now, where are these people come from? United States or Mexico?
No, we have offices. We have actually physical offices in 8 countries. That we have huge recruitment teams, training teams, coaching teams that recruit the staff, screen them, train them, and then deploy them into the law firm. And that's not where it ends. Once it's deployed, we have 2 separate teams that are managing that relationship. So we have success managers who handle the law firm to make sure the law firm is happy with the staff and is moving forward, and the team leads, which is performance coach, who manages the legal staff to make sure that they are doing a good job, they're happy with their job, they're growing at their job. And they are in Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Philippines. We have 8 countries.
That's wild. That's wild. Yeah, because most of the companies that I've seen out there, they just pretty much find you somebody, then you pay them, and then you train them. You look, you really kind of, there is no, that's it. They find them and then they start getting a percentage or whatever.
Yeah, we're not a staffing company. We are a practice growth company because there's an average law firm with us has 4 virtual staff from us, which they remain as our staff, and they are basically fixed cost to the law firm, no long-term contracts. They can add more, they can cut back, they can, get replacements real time, and we manage the entire process, and we make sure both parties are happy and growing together at the law firm.
Yeah. So, what is COVID kind of changed everything. You made reference to it, but I think COVID made lawyers sped up the process maybe 5 to 7 years of probably where they should have been to start with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, but it takes something like that, I always like to look for a silver lining out of a cloud. And I think that was the silver lining out of COVID for law firms. It was, with all these people leaving and, I hear stories every day. I just got off the phone with a lawyer. He says, I can't find anybody. I said, well, you need to go get some people from overseas. I said, there's a bunch of companies out there, and of course I gave him your name. And, the deal is, he said, $70,000. He said, 5 years ago, I could hire a lawyer for $70,000.
Right.
And then she came back, she says, I can't do it. My boss has raised me to 80. You have to do 85. And he said, screw it. And I said, you could get like 3 paralegals with these companies, right? I mean,
exactly, absolutely. These price ranges for our full-time, we take care of their benefits. Like one of the changes that what we do, we take care of these people like local staff in a way of, we give them health insurance. We give them increases on our own, not the law firm, because the law firm is on the fixed cost. We give them health insurance. We give them health insurance to their family. We're offering them retirement accounts. So they actually have retirement accounts in Philippines and Ecuador and Colombia, which they're not used to at all. No. But there's a huge incentive. We do them continuous training and certificate programs. So it's very different. And there is one major thing to Ken too. It's not just about the money, is that unfortunately our resources, local resources, became very entitled. And it's like when they come to work, I have plenty of them too, by the way, but when they come to work, it's like almost they doing me a favor coming in. This remote staff that we place, they are more than happy to go above and beyond. They are extremely excited and grateful to have a job. They're not entitled. They follow instructions properly. They don't bring in their own agenda. It is very, very refreshing when you get one of these staff working for you and you see how productive and how hassle-free it is. Like in California, you can't terminate any employee for whatever reason, any reason whatsoever. You're going to get a letter from some attorney that wrongful termination, this and that. And it's like, oh my God, I have law firms just in California, just because of that single issue, they're not hiring. It's like, I'm tired of, I can't even tell them why they burned down the building. It's like, if I tell them, why did you burn down the building? I'm going to get a lawsuit from some employment firm that, why did you tell them to not burn down the building?
Well, one thing I would think, since you're offering all these things, these benefits that they've never even heard of, that you probably get the cream of the crop as far as labor force in these countries.
Absolutely, because we do a lot of screening, a lot of benefits, a lot of training, and we reward them to stay with us. Our retention rate is over 84%, which is, on local staff in California, you're lucky if you get 50. So they stay with us because we take care of them, and we take care of them good, and we grow their careers.
Yeah, so, and that's I was listening to somebody this weekend, and they were talking about, it's not, like you said, it's not just about the money. If your job as a leader is to coach these people up and help them attain their goals. If you take an interest in what their goals are professionally and personally, and really give a shit, care, then nobody's going to be able to offer them $5,000 more a year and take them away from you, because that's just money.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So that, I think that's the secret to holding on to people. They think it's all about the money, but it's not. The 2 biggest reasons people quit is not money. It's they don't feel appreciated, and they don't feel like there's something that part of something bigger. You know what
absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the law firms review our staff on a regular basis. So if they get like a 4 or 5 star rating from their attorneys, they get a bonus from us. If they have a perfect attendance, they get a bonus from us. So every time they do something good or stay good or grow, they get something, which is a token of appreciation, especially in those countries. The money is a much bigger thing than it is in the US. So when you're giving somebody $25 incentive for showing up to work every single day at 8 a.m., it means a lot to them, and it keeps them around and it keeps them happy. So it's very important element of this whole thing. And all of our training curriculums for every practice type is being developed and certified by licensed attorneys in US. So if we have a PI training, is developed and managed by PI attorney, immigration, employment, workers' comp. So the training is pretty intense to get these people on board, ready to go, and on a fixed cost.
So one thing I've been thinking about, Hamid, is that this is one trend that I see that's going to continue to go forward even more. But now you got AI. So if you had somebody that was offshore working, plus they were smart enough to use AI to do 10 times the amount of work, however you automate it, and this is your wheelbarrow. I'm sure you've been thinking about this.
Oh, I done more than that, Ken. I'm actually just finished my book on instead of how to scale your stupid law firm, I scratched the stupid and say AI law firm. So I just finished because it's a full circle for me, coming from 40 years of a high tech, data warehousing, data mining, and all of that, and then coming to law, and then doing that. So when this thing came about in the past, 6 months or a year, especially with Even Up and a bunch of other things exploding, it was for me sort of like I graduated. It's like I got the high tech thing with the legal thing, and now it's coming together. So I couldn't sleep for a month because I kept thinking the impact, and my book is about the impact of the AI in the legal industry.
It is.
It's a huge impact. It's like nothing ever seen before.
Where do you see? Where do you think it's going to be used to begin with in law firms?
One of the things I spend a lot of time in the book about is how the AI is basically going to eliminate a lot of transactional law. Transactional law that does not require attorneys a skill set to do things. For example, immigration is filling up a whole bunch of forms, bankruptcy, uncontested divorces, estate planning, all of this stuff. AI honestly can do a much better job than any attorney I have ever worked with, because it has unlimited sources, unlimited data, efficient, productive, whatever. So that's on the transactional law, which is probably half of the industry. On the other side, on the litigation or contingency-based firms like the PIs, employments, workers' comp, and so forth, probably 1/3 of the staff, which was the administrative staff, discovery staff, document collections, medical records, all of this demand writing. Right now, we do demand writings like is using AI with our company, which is we are producing 10x demands a day that we were yesterday by using AI, right? And cheaper, faster, more accurate, more comprehensive, and all of that. So there's going to be a huge hit. And the attorneys who are going to be left behind are the ones who were just going to treat this as a phase or cycle or whatever. They're going to be left behind and they're going to be hurting. My recommendation is to get ahead of it, because this train is moving faster than any train. I was in the era when I started my career in high tech, there was no internet. So that was a big blow up. We went from fiber and cable to internet. That was like, wow. And then I was also in the front of a .com era in the 2000, the year 2000 and a little before that. And that was like, wow, now we got this .com, online shopping, online this and that. This AI impact is 10x of any of those things I just mentioned.
Yeah, I've been reading. I mean, I've been really trying to just like a sponge trying to figure out everything, because I'm not. It's the opposite of you. I can't even type. So, but I have been playing. I got on Chat GPT-4 but I'm looking at that's just one small part of it. I mean, there's so much more applications that this AI can be used. And I was watching CNN or something or not, and this lady was saying, seemed pretty smart, and said, this is going to be faster than anything we've ever seen. She says, it's in 18 months, it's going to go that fast. It's going to be crazy in the next 18 months.
Absolutely. And in my book, I explain the impact of that on each of the practice types, both, contingency-based transactional law versus litigation. What's going to happen to pre-lead versus lead versus, the transactional law.
So what is going to happen to these transactional lawyers?
They got to find something else to do. Because the AI, it's going to take a phase out, phase in sort of a scenario, but the impact is immediate. I'm already working on several projects where the immigration or estate planning practice, that it is completely 100% AI. It generates the estate planning faster, better, with a higher quality, and it also gives you all the risk factors. Like, when you're writing a contract, like corporate formation, writing contracts, estate planning, everybody can always, when you got one of those, can shoot holes in it and says, you have exposure here, you have exposure there, but over here you're solid. But it's pretty much like from experience or guesstimations or estimation. But the AI will actually give you exact percentage and says, you have 18% exposure on this clause on this contract, or you have 24% exposure on this a specific part of the estate planning you just did. It's very accurate. It has massive amount of data that is not humanly possible to capture or work with. So it's going to be a big change. And I think it's going to grab a whole lot of people by surprise.
Yeah. See, if I was a immigration or bankruptcy lawyer, I think what I'd be thinking about is, because some people still not going to want to use AI. They're going to want to go to a lawyer because they're scared of, and I would do it to where I could be more, put out a lot, do it a lot cheaper and compete.
Right.
Have a lawyer look at it and give them an answer to question. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's an 80-20 rule, Kendo. 80% of the people, especially the new generations, they don't have those kind of needs or requirements. They want to do everything. Like, I got 2 kids in law school. They pretty much live off of their cell phone. Like, they don't want to go, they want to do telemedicine, they want to do telelawyering, they want to do teleeducation. Everything is like, in my cell phone, I can basically live in it. They don't want to go anywhere, meet anybody, or talk to any lawyer or a doctor or education folks. They're just like, can you bring it into my cell phone? So that's the generation that is coming up. So we got to be ready for that. And then the attorneys that you mentioned, they need to add value to the AI. Yeah. That's what they got to find out. They say, okay, the AI is going to basically take over 80% of my practice. If I want to keep it, I got to bring some add value on the top of the AI instead of fighting the AI.
Yeah. No, you got to deal with it. I mean, people don't like change, but, if you don't, you got to change with the times. If not, you end up like Kmart, Radio Shack, in Circuit City,
and now Bed and Beyond, and a bunch of other ones. All of these people were basically ignored the trend of the market, and they thought they can fight it, change it, modify it. They didn't bring any add value, never changed. If you went to any of these stores you mentioned, they're still operating like it was 50 years ago. Nothing has changed. And you can't do that. So that's going to be a very key element of what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think every law firm owner out there that's listening to this should write this down. You should go to your people or go to people that know more than you do and ask, what is there anything in our law firm we're doing today that we could automate or use AI to make it quicker, more efficient, and better?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Every process, every task needs to be looked at. And what can we do to automate this? What can we do to use AI to make this to where it's more efficient, and and then we can go to these 4-day work weeks, and we can do this, and we can have this. You know what I'm saying? It's going to.
You're absolutely right, and that's what we do. We encourage and we help everybody who comes to us and asks those questions. I have this thing set up a long time ago called a practice tune-up. There's actually the book I'm working on is how you tune up just like a car, you tune up your practice. Like you said, from the beginning to the end, I need to check my engine, my transmission, my electric system, my tires, my brakes, my shocks, everything needs to be examined. So that's how you tune up your practice, just like you would do to your car.
Yeah.
And they need to do that, and we'll be happy to do that. And I think, at your conference is a great opportunity for these folks to actually come talk to people, see the new changes, see the trends, pay attention. Don't have like these 2-second conversations or 2-minute conversations. You have a lot of great exhibitors, a lot of great sponsors at your show. So the people who come, they need to actually spend some quality time with these presenters, with the exhibitors, with the sponsors, and take notes, see how it applies to their practice and their process, and then go back and take action on it. And don't just come to the show, hang around, get some information and go away. They need to monetize their investment they're making coming to the conferences like your conference.
No, I agree. Because the biggest hang up, the biggest obstacle is execution. You can go and get all these great ideas, but the problem is going back home and implement it. And that seems to be the biggest problem. That's one reason I'm going to speak on execution on steroids. It's a methodology. I've stole some stuff from different people and then added my little spices on it. And it's and the law firms that have used it are getting 3 or 4 times more done each year, as far as stuff that they wanted to get done, big projects. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're speaking my language. We didn't invent the wheel here. We just basically either teach them how to execute it, hold their hand to execute it, or execute it for them. So we have all of the above, but every one of them starts with the execution. If you don't execute it, it doesn't mean anything. You can have a cure to cancer in your mind, but if you don't come up with something that actually helps cure cancer, it means nothing.
It's true. I'd rather have one idea that I can execute than 20 great ideas that never happen.
Exactly. So that's definitely the trend. By the way, I forgot to say something that you started out with, to say that why did I call my book How to Scale Your Stupid Law Firm? The word stupid actually came in when I was doing consultations, and every time I had my 3rd, 4th meeting with the attorney, he started referring to things in his firm as a stupid. My stupid intake, my stupid marketing, my stupid lead generation, my stupid accounting. So when somebody asked me to actually write down what I was teaching, and the most common thing that stuck in my head is that everybody's telling me about something being so stupid. That's why I called it that, because it was like, they're the one who put it in my head. I didn't come up with the concept.
Good deal. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should ask you? And also, we're kind of getting towards the end of this thing, but if people want to definitely come down and see you at the summit, that's great. But if they can't get down there, how can they get up with you?
By simply contacting the LegalSoft and asking to set up a session. I'm always open to meet with folks and talk to them. So legalsoft.com is a place to go, and you can contact me, and I'm always available. My portfolio is on the site. My direct contact information is on the site. They can schedule a call, meeting, whatever they are comfortable with. But most importantly, coming to the summit and spend some time with us and ask the questions and get the experience. I think that's one of the highest recommendations. And after that, if they're happy, I'd be happy to be available to help them. We help law practices grow. And that's our mission in any shape or form, through consultations, implementations, guidance. Everything is all about how to grow your practice, which is the great part of what your summit is to grow your law firm.
Yeah. And how ironic, the name of the podcast is Grow Your Law Firm.
And that's all we do.
Yeah. All right, my friend. I look forward to seeing you next month. When people hear this, it'll probably be May. But I look forward to seeing you, and I'm going to be over at your booth picking your brain.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Always to be associated with you, and your summits and your organization has always been great, and it's always a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Thank you. Until next time. Yes, sir. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.